I ain't on my conspiracy theory shit today. Okay, that's it for Octavia Butler. I may have maybe another episode on Octavia Butler and her writings, because her books they have you. They will have you like drowning in them. Like you would not want to put it down. Now we get into Toni Morrison, whose novels were renowned for their lyrical beauty and powerful exploration of the Black American experience. Love Toni Morrison books. A luminary in American literature, celebrated for her profound exploration of the African American experience. Her novels, characterized by rich narratives and complex characters, delve into themes of identity, history, and the enduring impact of slavery and racism. Her Pulitzer Prize winning novel, Beloved, based on the true story of an enslaved woman, is a deeply moving exploration of the trauma of slavery and its lasting legacy. Despite her critical acclaim, including a Nobel Prize in Literature, Morrison faced criticism for centering her work almost exclusively on Black characters and themes. Why would she face criticism about that? I don't see the problem. Critics often labeled her work as limiting or not universally appealing. I wonder who said that shit. A critic she famously addressed by stating, "Let me tell you, Miss Toni Morrison, she wasn't nobody to play with." This what she said when they told her her work was limiting or not universally appealing. She said this: "In this country, American means white. Everybody else has to hyphenate, okay? Shut the fuck up and sit down. I don't need you to tell me what my themes need to be central around. I'm going to talk about everybody Black." Wow. You continue to talk about everybody white, okay? And she wasn't lying, because that rings true today. The status quo is white. Anything you think of, they put it in your mind that it is white. Everything is centered around whiteness. So it's nothing wrong with her centering all her work, all her wonderful, beautiful work around Blackness. Somebody needs to do it. Why not? It needs to be a balance. I know white authors that have never written a piece of material on Black people or on Black characters. So what's wrong with her doing the same damn thing? They not being critiqued about not writing about Black people or Asian people or Hispanic people, Mexican people, or anybody other than American. They not being critiqued for it. Yet she focused all her work on Black people, Black characters, Black themes, and all of a sudden her work is not universal. But they get to do it and focus all their stuff on just them. But yet when she do it, it's somehow not universally appealing, or her work is limiting. I can name you a few, and I'm probably gonna name some of them. A few that only authors that have only spoke about nothing but white characters. So, you know, her they wasn't finna play with Miss Morrison. She said, "Fuck y'all. I'm gonna write some more about Black people. I don't care what the hell you say." She refused to conform to a literary world that often marginalized Black voices and Black stories. Her commitment to write narratives was unwavering, and she believed in the power and the necessity of these stories in the broader tapestry of American literature. She once said, "The function of freedom is to free someone else." Oh, man, am I showing a trend with these quotes or what? Like, who knew there were so many Black people that were human? Who knew? I did. Who knew so many white people were inhumane? Okay. And that quote of hers is just shows that her belief in the power of literature is to liberate and empower. That are my two words. I love empower and liberate. Morrison's work is celebrated for its profound emotional depth and its unflinching examination of the Black experience in America. Her friendship with James Baldwin, who we spoke about earlier, was both a personal and intellectual bond. Baldwin, like Morrison, explored the complexities of race and identity in America. Their relationship was built on mutual respect and shared perspectives on the role of writing in addressing societal issues. Morrison often credited Baldwin for paving the way for Black writers like herself, acknowledging his influence on her work and thought. Toni Morrison's contributions to literature and her unapologetic focus on Black life and culture left a mark on the literary world. A huge, huge mark on the literary world. Her work not only challenged the status quo, but it expanded the understanding of the American experience, highlighting the importance and the universalness of Black stories. Yes, of Black stories, and this is a Black podcast. Because that's the kind of Black shit we do. Her legacy continues to inspire and challenge readers and writers alike. Now, lastly, and I really quick, I didn't quote any, or I didn't give a summary of any of Toni Morrison's work, because I am also saving her for something else in the future. So I don't want to give that up. But her work, Beloved, was actually adopted into a film. So if you haven't read the book, I'm sure you probably saw the movie. But if you saw the movie, I suggest you go back and read the book. The books are always better than the movies because they take out a lot of stuff in the movies. They can't put everything that's in the book. That's why it's, technically, that's why it's considered an adaptation. So it's not everything exactly in the books. So lastly, we'll dive into the revolutionary thoughts of Frantz Fanon, a philosopher and psychiatrist whose writing on decolonization and the psychology of oppression left an unforgettable mark on post-colonial studies and the global struggle for liberation. Fanon, a revolutionary thinker and psychologist, made groundbreaking contributions to post-colonial theory and the understanding of race and identity. His work, mainly Black Skin, White Mask, and The Wretched of the Earth, delved deeply into the psychological effects of colonialism and the dynamics of racial oppression. So his analysis of the colonized psyche, including the concept of Blackness in a quote-unquote white-dominated world, was pioneering. He famously wrote, "The oppressed will always believe the worst about themselves," capturing the internalization of oppression by colonized peoples. However, Fanon's advocacy for violent resistance as a means of achieving decolonization was met with significant criticism. Of course it is. Colonization is violent. Why can't you end colonization with violence? I mean, the logic follows, even though that wasn't the thought process during the civil rights movement with nonviolent protest. That was purposely done for a reason. And Fanon talked about it, even though it hadn't happened yet. In his writings, he talked about it, and he explained why violent resistance was necessary. However, Martin Luther King and Bayard Rustin and some more key figures around nonviolent protest, they didn't see it as something that was wrong or it wasn't the right way to go about it. What they were looking at it was the impact and the change that it could have if, properly carried out. So we know the idea of nonviolence as a means of protest came from, let's say MLK's philosophy behind nonviolent protest was influenced by Bayard Rustin, which Bayard Rustin's influence was heavily influenced by Gandhi. And Gandhi's idea behind nonviolent protest, Bayard Rustin saw that, and he also was a Quaker, or he was raised by Quakers. His families were Quakers. Maybe we'll talk about that too at some point, and how Quakers were sort of at the forefront of the anti-slavery movement. Quakers were very religious, but also they were, I guess you would say, morally intact, or I guess more morally intact than others. But the Quakers had, a real, I guess, like, strong sense of humanity and morality, I would say. So if you notice in the beginning of the abolitionist movement, it was led by a lot of Quakers. And so him being raised by a Quaker, I imagine some of those ideologies, carried over into his upbringing, because not many Quakers, I don't really see, I haven't seen any research that shows that, Quakers somehow changed their whole philosophy and just said, fuck it, kill everybody type shit. They really had strong views about, treating people with, respect and kindness and religion and all of that stuff. So that is what shaped his or that's what influenced Bayard Rustin. But